What's up? Welcome in. Flame Central Podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Not in the usual spot today. You may have noticed. Got the boot out of the studio. We're shooting this on Tuesday because of Labor Day yesterday. Also not here, Emily Austin. She is currently, as they say in the news business, on assignment.
She's on assignment.
She's on assignment.
Look at this setup.
Yeah, pretty nice though.
Very loungy.
Threw this together.
I feel like we're two pals just talking. Just a couple of guys talking football.
You feel like we are?
We are.
Okay.
Hey, look what I found in the break room.
I know. This is the old.
Look what I found. We're going all the way back. No, this ain't Yacht Talk.
No? Lean green.
This is the lean green mortgage machine, eh?
Yeah.
Check that out.
That's
old school.
vintage piece.
J.G. Wentworth Homeland.
Yeah, not anymore.
You find these suckers,
Yeah.
you get one of your hands on one of these, go to eBay, big money.
Yeah, big money.
Yeah, I'll autograph
Yeah,
that thing
yeah.
for you, too.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, obviously we want to talk about Liberty's first win over Campbell and get into that. I don't know.
Jamie
Joe,
Chadwell's not happy.
I was going to say, you saw the post-game. First, it was the post-game interview with Emily that ran on the Flame Central Game Day post-game show, where he looked into the camera, looked into the soul of America and said,
Yeah, he did.
all you people that think we're making the playoff, talking about that, stop it.
Just stop it.
We won't win another game. We're lucky to win a game. And
He wasn't
then
happy.
he went on into the actual post-game press conference,
Continued it.
closed that with, if we don't play better, we won't win another game this year. And he did the whole, write it, put it on TV. And my favorite was, he said, you'll be looking for another coach in a year if we don't play better than that.
Yeah,
Strong words.
he was on him.
Now, in today's press conference, he was a little more measured.
Yeah.
I think he had time to kind of let it, sit and simmer a little bit. You go back, you break it down.
Pause.
He wasn't.
To pause.
He wasn't quite as emphatic.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just start by saying, Joe, I'm not a overly optimistic guy.
You are a little bit of a pessimist.
I'm not a doom and gloom guy.
You're not doom and gloom. You're.
I like to think of myself as a realist.
You're a realist, and you're a Missouri guy. You're
Right.
a
Show me
state guy.
Got to show me.
Yeah.
And I feel like a little bit more removed from that game,
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad as it seemed. I think right after, it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
a win, but it just didn't feel right.
Right.
And I don't know that there were many times we felt that way last year. Maybe probably just because the expectations weren't as high as they are now.
The expectations
right?
are ridiculous now.
But I think now, a little bit further away from it, it wasn't as bad as it felt, or at least you look at things and you say, oh, those are easily correctable.
Yeah.
It's not as if we saw major flaws. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say. I mean, I think when you really start getting down into it and you go like, what is it that really cheesed him off?
Yeah.
Right. And I think like there's two hot buttons that got under his skin big time. Like a lot of the other stuff when you say, okay, whether that's the passing game, whether that's clean up some run games, some stuff on fits on defense and whatnot. Like that's like getting the film room less corrected. But then there's the unacceptable side of things.
Yeah.
And I think in his mind, it's like, obviously, Jamie wants what's best for Liberty University and what's best for Liberty University program. And he is at he's at the top of the food chain in terms of the reflection of that. And when you take the amount of stupid penalties that they took, it's a bad reflection on him and his staff.
Yeah.
And that obviously really bothers him. And then the other part is, and I will get into this more, but the other part is like the kicking game. I mean, the kicking game has been such a problem. And this is the kind of stuff, like, if you're in his mind, he understands, like, if you want to compete at the highest level and you want to start talking about playoffs and all this other stuff, you start talking about playoffs and all this other stuff that, everybody wants to talk about, then guess what? The stupidest things that should so easily come to you to be done are what we're failing at horribly.
Yeah.
And that is like dumb penalties and kicking the ball out of bounds and missing field goals. Like, that's going to tick him off. The other stuff you can sort of clean, but that stuff should be a given. And if I'm Jamie, if I'm Coach Chadwell, I'm like, okay, guys, here's my deal right now. That's game one. Okay, I'm going to take it. I'll take it. I'll get in front of the media. I'll get in front of the cameras, and I'll say, this is on our staff.
Yeah.
We didn't prepare you guys right. We weren't there to be able to make sure that we're a disciplined football team. And and there's 7,800 million kickers, soccer players in this world, and we can't find one, right? Like, clean it up.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. It's on me now. But I'm gonna tell you what, moving forward, it's on you. It's on you.
Yeah.
And I'll run you till you puke like a billy goat.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, I'm just saying that dude, like, clean it up. And I get where he's coming from. I've been, and it's funny, man. I'm starting to ramble right now, but it's funny. Like, usually before the game starts, when the coaches first get up into the box, I just run out there. I just open the door, and I go get them, go Flames, right? Yeah. And the boys will turn around like, let's go, baby, and then they're all business, right? And I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
And so we were in the rain delay, and I said to you, I forgot to go in and tell them. It's like tradition. I go in and tell the boys. And then I said, I got to feel this one out because I got a feeling.
Are you sure you want to
I said, I got a feeling that I got to feel this one out. So I opened the door up and to go in that coach booth, and oh my goodness, you could tell they were not happy.
Yeah.
That was an unhappy staff.
No.
And so it was one of those sort of duck your head in there. You look around like this, like, I'm not saying a word to these guys. And turn around and walk back out. So yeah, he's definitely not happy, but he's got good reason not to be happy.
No, and he said those things that you talked about. It's my job. Like, if we have these kind of penalties, that means I'm allowing it. I need to do a better job. So he did say that. 11 penalties, 127 yards, 2 kickoffs out of bounds, 1 dangerously close, probably should have gone out of bounds if the return man let it bounce one more time. It was right on the sideline. So yeah, those are just those unforced errors that against Campbell you can get away with.
The rules are set up for not to be, like, the kickoff return is the most dangerous play in football.
Yeah.
Okay? Guys run down full steam. The rules are set up for the ball to be kicked out of the end zone.
No.
You look around college football, not a ton of kicks being returned.
No.
Kick the ball out of the end zone.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
So here's a question I would have for you. If that continues to be a problem, which, we saw it last year.
Kick onside every time.
What do? Do you just squib? Like, what are your other options if you don't feel like you can just traditionally kick the ball and keep it in bounds and get a touchback?
I mean, I'm scouring the country. I'm scouring.
Do you remember that?
I will go. Liberty is an international school,
right?
I mean, I guarantee if I go to Brazil right now, I say, give me a connection to Liberty University.
Do you remember this? Do you remember Mike Leach at Texas Tech one year? There was a student, they have during the game, a student comes, kick a field goal, win a prize or whatever. Yeah. And this kid made a 30-yarder. The very next week, that student was kicking extra points for them, ended up kicking field goals for them that year. They just pulled him out of the stands, and so I don't know. I don't want to hear the. I really don't. I don't want to hear. And if I'm Chadwell, Coach Chadwell's staff, I'm like, I don't want to hear about the ball being kicked out of bounds anymore. And I don't want to hear about that we have to squib kick it now. Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that we have to pooch kick it now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any of that stuff. Yeah. Find either somebody on the roster currently, or go find somebody in Yugoslavia. I don't know about Yugoslavia.
I don't know about
Brazil.
Recruiting Yugoslavia.
But find somebody and get the ball kicked through the end zone.
Yeah.
And a conversation.
Yeah. It's been a challenge. Also a challenge, offensive line. Yeah. You had John Paul Flores injured going in. Xavier Gray got injured early in that ball game, so they did some shuffling around on the line. Your depth is already being stressed. Remember, this was a team last season, same starting 5 on the offensive line every game. One of the few teams in the nation, all 14 games,
and you lead the
same
nation
starting
rushing.
5. Well, that's already going to be out the window, it sounds like. It sounds like Xavier Gray may be out for New Mexico State as well. So you're having to shuffle some things. Having said that, how did you feel like they performed, especially in the run game, which is obviously a big part of what Liberty does? They still finished with, what was it, 250-some, 200 and looking at it, let me look at my notes.
It was
250-some rushing yards. What was your take on them and what they ended up doing?
Okay, so here's what I'll give. I really like Braxton Harris at Campbell. I think the guy's going to do a good job. Okay, and so what they did defensively is they were in a 3-4 defense. That means they have 3 down linemen, put their hand in the dirt, nose guard, 2 defensive tackles, and then they got 4 linebackers, 3-4 defense. And in a 3-4, there's a couple. I don't want to get into the complexities of it. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but 3-4 traditionally, if you're in a base 3-4, it leaves gaps in the middle, okay? And then you try to get your run fits and fill in. But what he realized was like, if their game plan, if Liberty's going to beat us, they're going to have to beat us, run the ball in between the tackles. And it was a good game plan. It was a good game plan because it didn't allow Liberty to open it up and have a bunch of explosive plays. And I think Coach Chadwell and Willie Cornwood in the game, like, okay, if you're going to give Cooley in between the tackles 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a pop, we're going to take it. And then, what Campbell's side is like, okay, and then if we can get him in a zone read, whatever it may be, where they put the ball on the ground, which they did, then that might give us a chance. And so I think with the offensive line, knowing that they're my phone's ringing. Sorry.
Oh boy, that's what.
Put the ringer. Who's this trying to do?
Put that on me. I'm the one that allows it.
You're allowed.
If it happens, I'm the one that allows. That's funny. We don't need to share
now.
Yes, that's on me. I'll take this. This week I'll take this.
You take it. Next week it's on you.
It's on him. It's on him.
You couldn't say any better, buddy. You couldn't say any better. But my point is that I think Liberty took what they gave them, and I think that Braxton Harris knew, hey, this offensive line is their question mark.
Yeah.
And so, if we could pop a ball out, if we get a few more fumbles, they hung around for a long time.
Right.
And we could do it. But I do believe in the talent of the offensive line at Liberty, and I do believe that Bill Durkin is one of the finest offensive line coaches in the country.
Yeah.
And so, it might be a little bit more difficult. And the other part of it too is, like, I look forward to when people start packing the run in more, and it allows Caden to open it up a little bit.
Right. Well, interesting. So we've got the PFF grades, which is new this year. Look at this. I like this. What is encouraging, Jordan White moved from center to guard, right? After the injury to John Paul Flores. He graded out as the highest offensive lineman, 97%. Basically overall grade, 97% in the run blocking.
That's
so he
incredible.
graded very well. And then just below him, Jordan Hall, who came in once Xavier Gray got hurt. He was a guy who spent 5 years at Monmouth, was a starter there, completely shredded his ankle last season, so missed almost all of last season, transfers to Liberty. He was at 92%. And so he graded out really high as well. And he's a guy, if Gray is out, that's going to get a lot of action. So at least you feel like you're not throwing some like redshirt freshman in there.
Yeah.
You got a guy that's played a lot of ball, but you can't afford a whole lot more in terms of injuries on that offensive line. It does sound like Xavier Gray, they hope to get back in the pretty near future. Flores will be maybe mid-season, but you're testing that depth already on the offensive line. So that's something.
It'll be that you're right. It is concerning, and it'll be interesting to see how the staff, the personnel that they have, adjust to that.
Right.
Because if you do start to struggle, then what do you do in order to take you who are obviously your two best players offensively, and that's Caden and Cooley?
Yeah.
What do you do in order to make sure that they're the ones leading the way in order for you to have success offensively?
And great game, by the way, for Quentin Cooley. Went over 100 yards rushing again, 110 yards in the score.
First overall fantasy pick.
Average 6.9 yards per carry. Liberty averaged over 5.5 yards per carry on the game. A question that I had for you, Joe, as you looked at the game plan.
Yeah.
You're playing Campbell, not knocking the fighting Camels in any way. But is there any part of you that thinks like Liberty was like, listen, offensively, we're going to keep it pretty vanilla.
Yeah.
We're just going to do just this week knowing that, we got a conference game next week. New Mexico State, we go on the road. We don't need to show everything to still win this game. Let's keep it pretty vanilla. Anything to that?
No, I don't think so. I think when you actually go into games that count, unless you just know that you're just a dominant, absolutely dominant team. It's like Alabama playing Western Kentucky the other day. Like you that I believe that you go into the game as offensively, defensively with the mindset of we are going to do what they give to us in order for us to be successful. And it took an extraordinary amount of discipline. Like you got to give them credit, because as we watch the game and call the game, like what in your mind are you thinking? Like, when are they going to break this thing open? Right? When are we going to see Caden taking shots downfield? Right? We didn't see a lot of this. Like, okay, if you want to leave bubbles over top of either the center or the guards, we're going to run the ball right here. And they called a very disciplined game and stayed with what Campbell was giving them.
Interesting on the defensive side of the ball. They talk so much about the depth. You saw that in terms of like the snap counts for these guys. TJ Bush led all defensive linemen in snaps played, and it was 33. Right? They talked about him playing 60 against Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl a year ago. Even your top two graded guys on defense, linebacker Taylor Jackson, Jamar Brown. By the way, those two guys both transfers in. Those are your top two graded guys. But Taylor Jackson, he only played 21 total snaps.
Wait, I don't know if you have the stat in front of you, but how many defensive snaps total did Campbell, or offensive snaps did Campbell have?
Yeah, I don't have that. I can tell you Corey Jones played the most snaps, and it was 46. So that gives you a little bit of an idea.
Plays that, man. But no, that is very, very encouraging. And in talking with Coach Krantz, I think that's one of the things that he looked at and it said is our biggest two things. The biggest area of improvements on this defense, outside of they're more athletic, is the depth in the front seven.
Yeah.
The depth, especially in the front four, they feel as if they've got 8 to 9 guys that they can play, and that makes a huge difference. And then linebacker, and then there was, they had some questions to be answered at the corner position.
I think those are still to be answered.
I think those are still to be answered. Mo Williams was out, so he didn't even play. But then the other part of it was he felt as if they were much more deep and athletic. And then the second part was he felt as if they have a lot more in, right? Like when you looked at their nickel package, for example, last year going in the bowl game against Oregon, there was probably 6 to 7 different calls you could do of that nickel package. Right now, there's over 20.
Yeah.
In the first game of the following season, and he credited that a lot to just the off season, the spring practice, the OTAs, to be able to get everybody together to be able to coach that stuff. So I think defensively, you're going to see a much improved defense.
Yeah, I agree. And bottom line, this is kind of, and Coach Shadwell would never say this, but this is kind of the perfect thing you want as a coach. You win, but you do enough wrong in the first game to really feel like I'm going to get these guys' attention. Right? There's enough to point out that nobody's really feeling themselves right now. Like, oh yeah, we're rolling again. You win, but there's enough that went wrong that you can really grab their attention as now you go on the road and start conference play. And so there's no like, oh, this is just like last year we're rolling. We're right. No. You need to refocus here and make sure you've got all these things cleaned up, but you get to do all that after a win.
And here's the thing too. This is the good news about cleaning. Like, there's stuff that coaches see on film and they realize, man, we're just not good enough. We're not athletic enough. We've got linemen who can't move their feet well enough to be able to get their hips turned to get that scoop block or get to the second level, right? There's that. And but the regular fan doesn't see it, right? But I was talking to just a fan, okay, on the way in here. And when the fan is like, what about the penalties? What about the ball being kicked out of bounds? Like, when the fan can see it, right, usually those are things that you can get cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think moving forward, you'll see him clean. And I agree with you, like, maybe lower the expectations down a little bit.
Right.
And like there's a lot of football left to be played.
Absolutely. So Liberty goes on the road now, New Mexico State next week, which it's like I don't know if are you going to be able to stay up for this, Joe?
10:15.
10:15 kick.
That works out perfect for the Octon.
10:30 kick.
That works out perfect.
You got a game. Are you doing a game?
Ox on the call.
Okay, yeah, with UNC. But they head out there. Listen, New Mexico State. It was a battle for them. They opened up against Southeast Missouri.
It was a passing clinic.
Southeast Missouri FCS team. SEMO was leading 16-15 with 4 minutes left. Let me set this up for you. Let me paint the picture. 4 minutes left in the game. SEMO up 1 with the ball, 4th and inches on their own 34.
They go for it.
They go for it. They're going for the throat. They're trying to kill. You convert here, you run the clock out, ball game. They don't get it. They don't get 4th and inches, gives the ball back to New Mexico State. They score the touchdown. Then SEMO drives all the way down into the red zone again with like 30 seconds left, throws a pick to basically seal it. So New Mexico State survives, but it was rough. Parker Awad is their starting quarterback. 5 of 17 for 37 yards and a pick. That's not pretty. That's not pretty. Remember, this is a different coaching staff. Jerry Kill, gone. Completely different roster. Diego Pavia's winning games at Vanderbilt.
Can we
He's
talk
not
about
there
that
anymore,
for a
which
minute when we get
he
a chance?
stuns Virginia Tech. Just did
I knew it.
Diego Pavia things like he has always done.
I knew it. I saw him at quarterback. I said, "Oh boy, you're in trouble." Then I saw Jerry Kill stand on the sideline. I said, "Oh boy."
Listen, I think people know where we stand on
and
Diego
then Hugh
Pavia.
Freeze was watching back in Auburn. Like, he said, "Oh boy, you're in trouble."
Yeah, we are big Diego Pavia fans on this podcast. Glad he's in another conference because he's a gamer. But that was fun to watch. So all that to say, New Mexico State, very different. Very different. Liberty Open, I think it was a 21-point favorite on the road. So again, don't know what we'll see this week in terms of like being tested, but it is a road environment, playing very late. So we'll see how the guys handle that. But New Mexico State does not look to be the team that we saw a season ago.
Yeah, and then this is a great opportunity. It's not like you go from playing Campbell and then at
Here's
week
App
2,
State,
at
right.
week 2 we're going to App State.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh boy,
slow build.
It's a slow build. That's a great way to say it, man. Yeah. It's a slow build. We slow build it, and you get this stuff cleaned up.
And then it's UTEP after that, and then it's ECU.
Now, what's UTEP? UTEP's decent.
So UTEP, let's run through what happened real fast in CUSA. UTEP lost on the road at Nebraska 40-7. It was a 7-7 ball game, late first quarter. Then Nebraska pulled away.
Nebraska's
new coaching staff.
Back.
Nebraska's playing Colorado this week. That'll
Nebraska is going to make a comeback.
Yeah,
it's been a long time, but they're making a comeback.
Cornhuskers, they're ready for it.
Yeah.
Just quickly around the rest of the league, Indiana took care of FIU pretty easily. Kennesaw State hung around against UTSA, which that's been a good program. 28-16 the final there. Middle Tennessee squeaked one out against Tennessee Tech, 32-25. That's not a great sign. No. The team that Yaktok has been hyping up all offseason, and I agree with
them
you.
Last year.
Sam Houston worked over Rice, 34-14 at Rice.
Watch out.
So an impressive win for them.
Watch out for Sam Houston.
They now go on the road to UCF this Saturday. So that will be, UCF was like a 2-touchdown, I think, favorite, I saw. But that will be another big test. Sam Houston got a JUCO quarterback that they really are excited about. Yeah, I was reading about this week.
And I'm telling you, what I'm impressed, the thing that I'm most impressed about Sam Houston State is the defensive athletes they have.
Yeah.
They just needed to play together for a while. They just need to catch their sea legs. That is a team to be reckoned with. And if they got a quarterback now, watch out.
Western Kentucky lost to Alabama 63-0. Hard to judge kind of what they are based off of that outcome.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But as you look around Conference USA, right now, Jacksonville State, earlier in the week, they lost to Coastal 55-27.
Hammered.
So you kind of look at what were the two teams last year that were the big surprises and played really well. Jack State, New Mexico State. Early results are they don't look like what they were a year ago.
Either one of those defenses right now couldn't stop a herd of rushing turtles.
There you go. And Jack State gets Louisville this week, so it's not going to get any easier for them. So as you're just kind of looking around the league, we talked about a week ago, you want to see some of these CUSA teams score some big non-conference wins, get a little respect for the conference. Outside of Sam Houston, not really happening right now. Yeah. So we'll see what it looks like come this week. All right, we do want to get to, again, Emily's not here. We do want to get to our Flames Fantasy League. I can tell you there are a lot of text messages flying around during the game itself. Emily was already making excuses. Joe was already gloating. It could be a really annoying year, I guess is what I'm saying. It could be pretty bad. Joe.
When you know how to put together a team to war 'em, it's just what we do.
It was a 5-year plan all along.
It's always been a
5-year
plan.
plan.
Rebuild process.
It takes time.
What do they say? You get 4 years of recruiting, and then your 5th year, that's the team that you're putting on the field.
Well, this is it. This might be your year. Joe started off with 46.7 points. I scored 26.6. Emily 17.4.
All right,
so
good.
Joe out to a
lead.
big lead. He got touchdowns from Quentin Cooley,
Bam!
Bentley Hanshaw,
Bam!
Billy Lucas. Those three really carried the day for him. CJ Bazell, Brylan Green each got you around 3 points apiece. So those are your big players. I got 19 points from Treon Sibley. That helped. Taylor Jackson gave me 6. Emily's big score was Elijah Canyon. And that's somebody I do want to bring up.
Yeah.
You talk about kind of pleasant surprises, and we're talking about the negatives from that game against Campbell. I think one of the positives is Elijah Canyon. You had 3 catches, 77 yards from a guy who, he'd been at Auburn, he'd been at Purdue, but hadn't really produced.
Yeah.
And so good to see somebody like that step in and have a pretty big impact week 1. And you see just the traits, the physical traits. 6'4", big body kid. He looks like he could be a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, when you like a real positives.
Yeah.
Real positive. I think that as Liberty season goes on and they start to throw loosen the reins on Caden a little bit, let him throw it more. I think you're going to see multiple receivers step up.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of weapons at the receiver position, and to see how Treon Sibley, he looks good, right? Like you can tell that he's slimmed down, that he is like he's healthy, right? That curl that he caught and then he bounced off and took it 70-some yards.
Yeah.
By the way, don't get me wrong, I support the Flames 100%, but I was hoping he was going to get tackled at the 1 because he's on your team.
Yeah.
And then they would have punched it in with Cooley.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. That's okay. But Treon Sibley, Mobley, Elijah Canyon, all those, like there are Reese Smith, you can get him involved more into the offense.
Copeland had 3 catches.
Like that's a competitive group right there. And I think you're going to see that group as a whole, maybe not one individual, but as a whole really flourish.
There have been times throughout the past couple of years where on a Liberty touchdown, when it's someone on my fantasy team, my first reaction has been to say, "It takes that, Joe." but being the professional that I am, I've
How
held
about
back.
them apples, Joe?
Yeah. But I've held back.
Yeah.
So I hope you
Appreciate
appreciate that. So Joe's out front. All that to say, Joe's out front in the Flames fantasy league. Snell scoring system is a different story.
Really?
Joe predicted a 49-10 Liberty win. I predicted a 52-13 Liberty win. So really, it was that last drive that really hurt us.
I mean, what was the final score? 40.
What was it?
41-24.
41-24. Yeah, that last TD by Campbell when Liberty gave him 45 yards of penalty yardage on that drive kind of helped out a little bit. That didn't help. Emily took 42-10. She ends up winning the week in the Snell scoring system. So the way we're doing it is the winner each week gets 2 points. Second place gets 1. Third place 0. So Joe and I split half a point because we each tied.
We tied in the Snell scoring system?
We tied.
That
Emily
can't
was
happen
closest.
often. I don't see that happening often.
So that's the way that works. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. Bold predictions for next week and our official predictions. Again, Emily's on the road. She did not text them to me in time. Part of me wants to just disqualify her this week. But again, I'm gracious. I'm merciful. Yeah. We'll let her text us something later, and we'll let you know what that was.
No, I say we make it up for her.
We make it up for her? Like 7-3.
Yeah,
Liberty wins 7-3.
Just like make something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
Caden Salter just threw for 633 yards and 7 touchdowns. Yeah. That's a bold prediction.
She would make that bold prediction. By the way, you had a Juju Gray kickoff return touchdown. He got a little dinged up in that game too, so he went out. Emily had 3 takeaways. There was none. So Liberty didn't take the ball away at all.
They didn't turn the ball over at all?
And I had Vaughn Blue 3 touchdowns. Vaughn was in. I don't think he was in until the second quarter. Wasn't real involved in the offense. So that's something, when I talk to you about, are they holding anything back?
Yeah.
That's something that makes me think like, okay, they can get him more involved, certainly. Yeah. And so I'm interested to see how they do that.
And then they went with Billy Coolhand Lucas a fair amount.
A lot. It was pretty balanced in terms of the carries between he and Cooley.
I'll tell you who looked healthy and good was Cooley.
That's absolutely right.
I mean, he looked in shape.
Yeah.
He looked healthy.
He got a little bounce to him.
He had a little bit. He had a little bit of. He had a little bit. I can't say.
You were kind of you were trying to come up with something good. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
You know when I said like you run to make it to puke like a billy goat?
Yeah.
You know where I just thought of where that
No,
came
where
from.
did
I said
that
billy goat?
Yeah, why billy goat?
Because you remember Rambo when Colonel Troutman, they said, "Oh, we got him." They were like, "We got his miles," and Troutman says to the sheriff, he says, "You don't got him.
Yeah.
He'll eat things that'll make a billy goat puke."
That's good. That's good.
See, so that's where my subconscious came from. That big.
Yeah.
Rambo. You're talking about John J. Rambo.
Yeah.
He'll eat things that make a billy goat puke.
I frequently reference nothing is over. That's
Did we say it's over? You talking about the speech from Animal House? Was it
that
over?
was different.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
No,
No, not that one.
All right, let's give our bold predictions for this week. I'll go first. Give you a second. I'm going to go Liberty 42-16. I'm going to go 3 touchdowns, 150 yards on the ground for Quentin Cooley. I think he's just going to take this game over. You heard Chadwell mention a few times since the post game Saturday. We need to lean on these teams. We need to get a lead and then just lean on them, choke them out. That is the run game, and I think they're gonna do that in this ball game.
I'm gonna go just because you went that direction. I'm gonna go the opposite direction, and that direction is that Caden Salter throws for over 350 yards and 4 touchdown passes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're gonna open it up a little bit more.
What's the score you got?
And then this is gonna get ugly.
I don't you feel like Liberty after that performance?
Yeah, they're going to come out.
There's no messing around. They're going to come in focused.
Here's the thing. What I think that Liberty's going to come out and do. I think Liberty's going to put on. Coach Chadwell's going to go to him and he's going to give him the Nick Saban deal.
Yeah.
And that is we play a faceless opponent.
Yeah.
Right. That whole deal, and I think it's going to be all about what Liberty is and what Liberty does, and they are going to score 52 points. And the final score is going to be 52-3.
Wow.
Blowout.
That's an eye catcher. If you're flipping through and be like, oh, what Liberty do this week? A conference game, 52-3, that would get people's attention.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. I've been in the locker room after doing the nonsense that happened out there.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been on a staff after doing the nonsense that's happened out there. Right? I know what's going on inside that locker room right now. And this is going to be a controlled, angry football game for Liberty Flames.
Yeah.
And they're pulling it out.
Well, listen, if they play well, we talk about the slow build, you come back home for back-to-back games, you got a chance to really start this season on the right foot. And as we talked about, slowly build towards that showdown that we've all been talking about, which is the biggest test on this schedule, which is App State. So, listen, you struggle game 1. It doesn't change what this team can accomplish and what they feel like the ceiling for this team is. You may have to shift some pieces, but again, I feel like the biggest problem is the expectations.
Yeah.
If Liberty did this last year, everyone would still be celebrating. Hey, win, gotta win. We don't know what to say.
We're starting.
You win 13 games. Now it's just, you can't just win. It's, what does it look like when you win?
Yeah, that's the truth. And the biggest concern, and they're over at that football office, is that offensive line. The injuries on the offensive line and piecemealing that thing together. So Coach Durkin's got big task out in front of him, but hopefully when you get to those big games, you got that part of it worked out.
Yeah.
And then also, schedule-wise, I can't remember, do we go to App State first, or do we play East Carolina?
East Carolina. So the next 2 home games are UTEP, East Carolina, then at App State.
I think what did East Carolina do?
They won, but it was against it wasn't. It was against Norfolk State.
Okay. So that East Carolina game, which is in 3 weeks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, September 21st or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
That East Carolina game, potentially. Pull up their schedule real quick.
So ECU, this week they play Old Dominion, which Old Dominion
gave a scare.
They
South Carolina.
Old Dominion almost took down South Carolina. So that'll be a good test. And then ECU is home for App State.
Get
so
out
we'll
of
get
here.
a little bit of a comparison. So they get App State before they come to Liberty. So we're going to find out what ECU is early in the season.
Those are two tough.
There's Old Dominion. That's going to be a challenge, at least you would think. And then App State.
It's
at Old Dominion.
At Old Dominion.
And then home for App State. Yeah.
South Carolina gets struggled with Old Dominion.
They did. So that'll be interesting to see kind of how that goes. One last thing which, by the way, looking ahead, I forgot App State gets basically a bye before they face Liberty too, which is always a nice thing. But
before you get to that one last thing, did you know that if you go to alcova.com/Liberty, this is a Did You Know segment.
Do it.
Did you know that if you go to alcova.com/Liberty, that if you're a Liberty alumni or employee, you can get up to $5,000 off on your closing costs on a home purchase or refinance. Did you know that, man?
I did.
You're aware of that?
I am aware of that.
Yeah.
I hope everyone that listens is aware of that.
And now
free money.
And now the refinance, and this isn't some little gimmick operation.
No.
This is the real deal.
It's the real deal.
You know, we're building a wall at the office. We're building a wall. It's we already finished the border of it, right? And it's going to have Liberty, Friends of Liberty program on top. And we're gonna list all the names of all the people that have saved thousands of dollars.
I wonder whenever you've been talking to me about build the wall. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wall.
And now I get what you mean now. It's the Alcova Friends of Liberty wall is what that's good.
Exactly. So folks, alcova.com/Liberty, looking to purchase, refinance, great deal. Bottom line, cash off your final number. Take advantage of it.
Almost too easy.
Last
thing before we go, Flames going out to Las Cruces. I've been to Las Cruces one time. This was a few years back before Liberty was in CUSA. We played out there. I filled in on the radio. I was doing radio sideline at this time. And we talked a couple weeks back about Paul Ritigliano, who passed away recently. What a great guy he was. My all-time favorite Paul Ritigliano story took place in Las Cruces. So I'm up in the booth, pregame, hanging out, and Paul comes just stumbling in the booth, and he's just
gasping for air.
Like in pain, gasping for air. I thought he was having a heart attack. I'm looking for the paddles. Genuinely, I thought something was wrong. I'm like, Paul, you okay? Is everything all right? And he's like, the salsa, so hot. It's so hot. They have this big Mexican food spread in Las Cruces every home game where they have
beautiful.
They have enchiladas and tons of chips and salsa. He got the hot salsa and he was beet red, looking for water, just I thought he was dying right then, and it was just the salsa, and we ended up getting him okay. But I thought it was bad news.
We love you, Paul.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. So Joe, appreciate it this week. Emily will be back next week. We'll be back in the studio, back on Monday as well. I know this was a little bit different. Oh, we did have a mailbag. I do want to encourage everyone.
Hit them with the mailbag.
Liberty Flame, Flames Central at liberty.edu. Flames Central, liberty.edu. Send us your questions. Now that we're into the games, send us your questions that you have about what you've seen. We'd be happy to answer it. We did have one question, or a couple, I guess, that are a little bit similar that I want to address. Adam sent these questions in, and it's something a lot of fans have talked about. We've actually gotten this question a number of times, but about if Liberty runs the table this year, any chance to move to a bigger, better conference. I just want to, and I appreciate the question.
Chadwell, I hope he tuned it off.
Appreciate the question. We've gotten it a lot. I think it's a viable question.
Yeah.
I just think at this point, we just put that question aside for a while.
Yeah.
Long way to go. Long way to go. At this juncture, you've done it once in CUSA.
Yeah.
Once isn't enough. Let's just let this team work. And if you do it twice, okay, then let's start having that conversation.
Yeah.
But one great season does not, I think, warrant the entire athletic department. We should be here.
Right.
Let's put it together a couple of years and see what happens.
Right.
Is that fair?
That's very fair.
I think we go with that route.
Yep.
So that's kind of the question we had there. Appreciate it from Adam. Feel free to send us more questions. FlamesCentral at liberty.edu. Anything else, Joe?
I think that's it.
All good?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, we'll see you right back here next week. Appreciate you watching and listening. It's been the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Go Flames!